Yep, that's me. The hot one, obviously. Okay. Hey, what are you doing? We talked about this. What do you mean, big head? Hi. Probably owe you an explanation. I mean, I'm not into this. It's just, at the end of the day, here we are, about to die like some mid-tier chump. Right? Well, last time, when we talked about Swordfighter's greatest strengths, I had to leave out a couple important details. And now that I've had some time to wrap my head around the implications, I can be honest. So this is my confession. I've been lying to you from the start. And right here is exactly where I want to be. First off, thank you all for watching. Not in a million years did I expect anywhere near that type of response, so I apologize for being a bit blindsided once I started pulling on some threads. So here's what's gonna happen now. Last time we covered fire, and I showed you just how hard Swordfighter can hit. Today is air and water. First, we need to clear something up. I'm going to show you why Swordfighter is one of the hardest characters to kill in all of Smash. And we'll learn a couple tricks along the way that take our defense even further. And then we're going to get to the fun stuff. And I'm going to show you how to take all that defense and turn it into a truly terrifying weapon. And yeah, it does leave Earth, but a girl's got to keep some secrets. Now enough of that. We're introducing two new dimensions to Swordfighter's defense today. But to use them with any degree of success, we gotta start with the basics. One of the most broken recoveries in the game. But that's a story for another video. Gale Stab is the second option for Swordfighter's side B, and it is our single most important move. Like most of our moves, Gale Stab is based on another. In this case, it's Ike's side B, Quick Draw. Which
Ike's recovery is really good. Ike's recovery is like the best thing about the character besides killing. Like it's literally like killing, recovery.
Is a pretty good place to start. And looking at the numbers, you may already start to see some differences. But I want to put this gently. There are, well, you see how long this video is. But let's start with what we have in common. Just like Quick Draw, Gale Stab starts with a charge. The longer you hold it, the further you go, and the harder you hit. When you release it, you'll lunge straight forward with this giant invisible sphere in front of you. When anything enters this area, Gale Stab will transition to its final stage, where we extend out our sword and bring out the actual hitbox. And we'll get to that. But simply due to the fact that you can hold and release whenever you want, just like the move that Father did.
There's a billion timing mix-ups.
Take this clip as an example. The opponent hits me off stage, so I jump and start charging Gale Stab. From here, I'm threatening to release high and land on the opposite side of the stage, or the far platform, with zero landing lag. We'll get to that. I can also wait, threaten to land in this closer platform or center stage. And at any point, if I see them jump out to try to hit me,
and we try to challenge Gale Stab. You just react. If they jump out there, you release it.
The possibilities are incredibly overwhelming. But even after all of that, the ability to aim it practically anywhere on the stage, you could always just... See, Gale Stab sends you halfway across the stage in literally the blink of an eye. So timing a move to try and hit it is extremely difficult and entirely unreactable. Often you'll scare people into just giving up the ledge entirely to try to guess where you'll land. Trust me, we will revisit the consequences of that decision. But before we get to the big guns, There's a subtle reason that Gale Stab is so terrifying to challenge. If you're edgeguarding someone, trading hits
Kill with the neutral air 2 gets back, and what a stock from Lunchable.
is usually a good thing. If we both get knocked back, the risk reward is overwhelmingly in favor of whoever's on stage.
To the wire, the absolute wire, the apex of game.
Oh, he's still living!
Not yet, son! We are living. This crowd cannot believe what they're saying. Tweak though!
He's
No,
still
what?
living, bro.
But Gale Stab doesn't knock you back. No. It knocks you up. Wait. It launches you up. And because Gale Stab kills vertically, it doesn't matter where they are on stage. Anyone edgeguarding us is always in danger of dying. Even some of the most powerful side Bs in the game, if you have the whole stage behind you, simply can't kill you until obscenely high percents. And to be clear, Ike's version of the move does send at a similar angle, with similar benefits. But there's just a little baby caveat. Ike's version changes whenever you're using it from the air, like, say, when you're recovering. It's much weaker. But sword fighters, nobody snitch. I think they forgot. Gale Stab starts killing midweights off the top at 90. Add to that the fact that you'll usually have a good bit of rage, and if they're trying to hit you, they're likely to be either holding forward or jumping up to reach you. You can sometimes expect this to start killing in the 60s. And you caught that, right? For anything that moves this fast and hits this hard, that's not normal. Unlike a lot of similar recoveries, with the active hitboxes, these little red areas, maybe just barely peek out ahead of your character, there's a reason I haven't shown you this yet. Remember, we're sword fighters. This is the Gale Stab hit. Okay, I feel like I should say, if you're watching this in public, or, in front of a significant other, you may want to cover their eyes, just for a sec. Totally your call, just I am not responsible for any drama that may ensue. Because this is the Gale Stab hitbox. Gale Stab doesn't just cover our sword. No, we are the sword. And this dump truck of a hitbox does a couple things. It means challenging this move is terrifying. Timing something to hit this is already hard enough, but often, even if an attack is perfectly timed, Gale Stab will just cut straight through it. This just dunks on any moves that aren't similarly disjointed, and it often still trades with moves that are, even when it really feels like it shouldn't. And for those that are unfamiliar, when I say disjointed, I simply mean a move which extends out far past your character's body, creating an area where you can hit them, but they can't hit you. However, before we get too carried away, let's be clear. Gale Stab is not the longest move in the game. You do need to pick your battles, and especially against projectiles, you don't always want to be rushing it head on. But let's be real, it's 2025, and I hope I'm not the first to tell you, width is just as important as length. And Gale Stab's hitbox is so goddamn thick that we can release it above characters' heads, and it will still hit them. This changes how you can use the move entirely, and it allows us to just coast over the majority of projectiles, melee attacks, and so much more. But I think that's enough introduction. Let's get into the fun stuff. Like we just mentioned, this is the sweet spot. Aiming just above an opponent's head lets you skim past any move that doesn't completely encapsulate this area. That's most moves in the game, especially those that are disjointed enough to contest Gale Stab from the front in the first place. This is aided by the fact that once Gale Stab activates, gravity turns back on, and we start falling again, essentially landing on top of them and body slamming them with this inside hitbox. If you've ever struggled against zoners, this interaction is the key. Many characters will shoot projectiles that we can't beat head on, but very few of them cover their heads. Gale Stab is so fast, we can often reach them while they're still recovering from their shot for a true punish. This works extremely well against Byleth, Sheik, Wolf, Sephiroth, Peach, Simon, Zero Suit, K. Rool, BJR, Bowser. We could keep going. You get the idea. And something to keep in mind, aiming for the head will also be important later when we talk about shields. But we'll get to that. This is well known, but very important. You can check out the video in the description for a more detailed explanation, but brass tacks, if you release Gale Stab around this height, I like to think of it about 1.5 platforms high. You'll land on the ground with 0 lag. The closer you are to this line, the less landing lag you'll have, until you cross above it, where you'll bust and get stuck with a normal landing. This often forces people to hard read where you'll land in order to be anywhere near you. You can just grab the ledge for free. We'll return to Shuriken of Light later, for a different reason, but it's very important for our recovery. Shooting a shuriken or two as you recover is a really good way to intercept the majority of projectiles in the game, ward off opponents trying to jump at you, and interrupt them as they ready their attacks. And don't get me wrong, the basic concept is very intuitive. You may already do this yourself, but you should know that when you land this shuriken, it's far from over. You can combo this into a Gale Stab from the blast zone to simultaneously put yourself an advantage and return to the stage for free. And if they're a little closer, this hero spin is a true combo, because of course it is. You can also get a little fancier, baiting your opponents towards the ledge, and then catching them with a B-reverse shuriken, like so. This will also be a great way to punish people who try to reflect your shuriken, or even just try to shield it. Once it forces them into shield, the following hero spin will just chip away at it, and very often shield poke right at the end. And as tempting as it may be to swing at us here, we're usually quite safe just falling to the ledge. And if they try to swing and whiff, well, we'll get to that later too. Now, I just want to get real for a second. You are beautiful, and you are valued. 2 and 3 sword fighters will experience this sometime in their later years, but it doesn't have to be this way. Let me explain. About 4 years ago, Gale Stab received a buff that made it the monster it is today. When you hit someone with Gale Stab, you used to just essentially lose the ability to grab the ledge and just fall to your death. Pretty much anyone could just jump in front of you and you're dead. This doesn't work anymore. Anyone that jumps out will get hit, and then you'll grab the ledge just fine. But you should be aware of a similar interaction inherent to the move itself. Remember that when Gale Stab activates, we begin falling again. And this doesn't matter up close, but if the move detects someone and activates way out here, you'll start falling too early and you won't reach the ledge. In practice, this means if someone's jumping out at you and you've already committed to charging a Gale Stab, you can let it go early and go over their head, or full send, go right through them as long as it's above this line. Any intercept here or higher will leave you enough height to safely coast to the ledge afterwards. And speaking of the ledge, when you aim for the ledge with Gale Stab, you can do so in 3 different ways. If you aim slightly above the ledge, you'll push up on it for the remainder of your Gale Stab, hitting anyone in range, and then still fall and grab the ledge. Completely safe if they shield, by the way. You can also do this manually, regardless of how high you release, by just holding down on the left stick to avoid grabbing the ledge. Just remember to let go before you fall too far to grab it afterwards. The second approach, aiming below the ledge, will instantly transition you to a ledge grab as soon as you're in range. Usually with 1, but sometimes 2 vulnerable frames, depending on how far away you grab it from. But the third way, aiming Gale Stab right at the center of the ledge, lets you snap to it with full invincibility. This is really dumb, but honestly, I rarely get to use this. Just using the first method, Gale Stab beats most 2 frames by itself, so we do suffer a little from success here. Okay, everything we've covered so far. This all presumes that your opponent is willing to challenge your Gale Stab head on. But eventually, they will learn that this is a losing game, and once they hear you, it's only a matter of time before they just start holding shield. So, what happens when Gale Stab hits your shield. This is what makes Gale Stab broken. And this is also where we fully diverge from Ike's version of the move. See, when Ike hits your shield, at least you can punish it. When we do, when a move in Smash crosses up your shield, that just means it ends up behind you. But Gale Stab is in a league of its own. By the time they can do anything, we're here. And they have 15 frames to drop their shield, turn around, and try to reach us. And 15 may sound like a good bit, but for almost every single character, covering this distance at that speed, let alone facing backwards, is just impossible. Now, the tech savvy among you may be wondering, what if I just parry it? Wonderful instincts. About that. Parrying Gale Stab does make it less safe by 4 frames. It's not so bad. The main benefit of parrying, after all, is it lets you immediately drop your shield and use your normal attacks without delay. There's just 2 caveats. The first is what you've been looking at. When Gale Stab is parried, it actually crosses up further than normal. Even with the perfect parry, a good number of characters still can't reach it. It is certainly possible for some, but it's not easy. The second caveat, though, is slightly more problematic. As we're falling, there is about a 15 frame window in which we could release the move and it would hit them. A single parry attempt covers 5 frames. And since Gale Stab is far too fast to react to, that effectively means that a parry is a guess, with about a 30% success rate. Assuming you play a character that can reach Swordfighter in the first place. So, do with that information what you will. There's really nothing in the game that acts like this. The developers of Smash paid special attention over the years to make these horizontal aerial lunges stop when they hit a shield. And of the very few exceptions to this rule, most of them are far slower or behave differently in the air. The few that remain, just like Gale Stab, are exceptional. Now, if that were the whole story, with everything we've covered so far, you'd be right to think that Gale Stab is among the most powerful recoveries in the game. It crosses up your shield, kills you if it hits you, outranges your attacks, it's unreactable, it can land anywhere on the stage, yada yada yada. The crazy thing is that we haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet. If you'll indulge me a brief detour, I'd like to take us somewhere important, to visit an old friend, for a bit of perspective.
Hands off my...
No. I said, an old friend. We need to go back. Way back. If you've ever played Super Smash Bros. Melee, the one for the GameCube, you're probably familiar with this sound. And you may already know where we're going with this. But for those unfamiliar, let me explain. Melee came out far before the age of online matchmaking. But by playing on an emulator, you could emulate local multiplayer online. And this was good fun, but people didn't really take it too seriously. And then 2020 happened.
The future and impact of this virus remains undetermined.
More than 3 billion people.
All but a handful of states have issued stay-at-home orders.
형사벌이 가해질 수 있습니다.
You must stay at home.
And everyone got used to playing online real quick. And we all started to notice something. This move, Falco's side B, was suddenly really difficult to deal with, because at 18 frames, it's just barely reactable unless you're playing online. It's not that noticeable in normal gameplay, but it's just enough to make reacting to this move very difficult.
Kids, you can't react to that.
So much so that in a game with invincible ledge dashes, infinite ledge stalls, double lasers, drop, jump, side B became one of Falco's best real ledge options.
So like, I'm spamming it and it might seem like, oh, this Falco fucking side B spammer. If we went back and analyzed, I don't think I got punished for a single one. I think I got out for free or hit you with it every single time. And I think that's a problem. I don't know if you feel as though it's a problem, but
It definitely is a problem.
Cool. So,
Now back to Ultimate. We too have a side B that launches us forward at considerable speed. But ours is effectively 9 frames faster. Avoiding it is unreactable. So whenever you're on the ledge, you force people into this awful guessing game of when or if you'll pull the trigger, which is an uncertainty that plays right into the rest of our kit. But don't get it twisted. This isn't just a movement tool. Last time, we briefly discussed some follow-ups when you land a Ledgehop Gale Stab, but let's take it a little more seriously. At low percent, Gale Stab puts your opponent in this awful spot, just in front of you and slightly off the ground. You're both actionable at around the same time, but think about what they can actually do from here. Of all the defensive options they have, can I let you in on a little secret? At low percent, your go-to option after a Gale Stab will be a simple down tilt. This will hit them if they try to land, mash a falling aerial, or air dodge in any direction. If you want to be a bit safer, you can also either hold shield or flicker your shield for a parry. If you watched part 1, you know that a down tilt or a grab is all we need. You can check out that video for the dozens of 0 to deaths that are possible from there, but here are a couple examples. At mid percent, a less flashy but extremely consistent option is just a normal power thrust, mainly because of this. Power thrust leans you back so far that you'll dodge most landing aerials, and then it lunges so far forward that it'll hit them no matter where they drift. Once we get a little higher though, this is where things start to get interesting. Around 60 to 90%, Gale Stab sends at this beautiful angle, which tends to knock people directly onto platforms. And if they land on a platform, if they miss the tech, this will jab lock. And if they do tech in any direction, either your Shuriken or your Hero Spin will still hit them. If you want something a little spicier though, you can push this significantly further. A full breakdown of everything you can do after a Shuriken jab lock will have to wait for another video, but here are a couple ideas to chew on. A lot of these setups can either kill significantly earlier or just utilize different moves in case you're running a different loadout, but they're less guaranteed than a simple hero spin. Above 90%, you'll do the exact same Shuriken as before, but this time, the platform is no longer involved. Here, we're basically playing the floor as lava. If they try to return to the ground with an air dodge, an aerial, or anything else, of course, none of that matters if they just shield it. So why isn't everyone just preemptively holding shield? Well, just like Melee Falco, this still crosses up shields from the ledge. Right? Well, sometimes. So what happened? Okay, I did a baby lie, because Gale Stab does cross up on shield, but only when you want it to. Back to the lab again. Swordfighter can influence which side we land on after a Gale Stab by controlling two variables, charge time and height. Above a certain height, Gale Stab will always cross up, which is why we typically aim it high when we're recovering. At full charge, a head level Gale Stab crosses up so far and so safely that it's just totally out of reach. But as you go lower and lower, so does the probability of a cross up, until you reach a critical point. And I don't know what happens here. But neither do they, because it's impossible to tell. What you're looking at right now is a save state. I've programmed the CPU to perform the exact same inputs every time I reload. Just from the tiny inconsistencies in which frame the game registers those inputs, totally different result. And there are a lot of different variables that influence this. But all you need to know is for a 50-50 Gale Stab, aim it about halfway up their shield with a full charge, or just shy of the top of their shield with no charge, and you'll get a feel for where that sweet spot is. And this is where Gale Stab from the ledge becomes truly busted, because hopping up from the ledge, you won't have time to fully charge it, and with less charge, Gale Stab can be punished out of shield, if they know which side it's going to land on. So let's circle back to our girl Sheik. In fact, let's play a little game. Like most characters, none of her out of shield options will hit us on both sides. We just go too far. That means she needs to visually confirm which side we land on and attack in that direction. When you first land a 50-50 Gale Stab, both outcomes look the same, but at some point, you'll be able to tell which is which. The question then is, by the time you can see the difference, is there enough time left to punish it? This is Gale Stab's last vulnerable frame. If Sheik wants to punish this, whatever attack she chooses needs to hit us by this frame. In Ultimate, there are always at least 6 frames of input delay, no matter what. That's going to set her reaction back by 6 frames, bringing us here. Average human reaction time is about 250 milliseconds, but let's be a little generous. Our Sheik here is a pro gamer. She had a good night's sleep, let's say 200 flat. That's another 12 frames, which brings us here. We'll ignore any delay from the controller or the display, and we'll also ignore the fact that any reaction which requires you to make a decision is significantly slower than a simple twitch. Now that we've compensated for reaction time and delay, Sheik has to pick a move. Her quickest move out of shield will be a neutral air. Just 6 more frames, and that bumps us back here. And, uh-oh. And now, without the benefit of frame by frame, in real time. Even under unrealistically perfect circumstances, it is still impossible to react to a Gale Stab cross-up. As a reminder, if we take a less generous approach, it just gets increasingly hopeless. Every time this hits a shield, they're making a 50-50 guess. And remember too that height is only one of the variables involved. So even when it looks like there is a difference, it's not always clear which is which, and the penalty for guessing wrong against Mii Swordfighter can simply be death. Now, I hope you enjoyed our little lab runs, the game shows, the frame by frame. I tried my best to spruce it up a little, because inherently, there's a lot of numbers and hitboxes, and not enough murder. Nobody clipped that.
You can teach me to redirect lightning?
Gale Stab is the foundation. But it's just the first piece of the puzzle. If you got a lot going on, now's a good time to take a break. Stretch your legs, grab a snack, pet a cat, because this is the next level. But rather than ramble on...
Tony, just run the tape.
and ball in. Better untangle quick if they don't want it. Oh, too late!
Oh no.
It's all up to Mako now. He's bobbing and weaving. He's weaving and bobbing, but he's not hitting back. He's dancing on the edge of the ring, surviving the 3-on-1 barrage. It seems his plan is to let the Tigadillos punch themselves out. And his plan is working. Han is in the pool. They've got nothing left in the tank, and Mako is on the offensive. It's 2-on-1. Scratch that. It's 1-on-1, and it's an Earth and Fire slugfest. It's a knockout. What a wingdinger of a hat trick, folks. Mako pulls off the upset of the season, winning the match for the Fire Ferrets.
Hero Spin is the third option for Mii Swordfighter. Wait. We did this already? Right. Oh well. Hero Spin is arguably more powerful as a defensive tool than it is for our offense. And I am not exaggerating when I say I've taken more stocks with this one technique than any other. Execution? Dead simple. Let's get it out of the way. Simply hold down or back to drop from the ledge, then diagonally back, up, and the B to cast Hero Spin in the opposite direction. Quick tip, you can also fast fall from the ledge by smashing the stick down more quickly if you're afraid they might pancake underneath. No one can get below this. Now before you say it, I know, this looks like an overt gamble that would rarely even work. But it's not. And it does. Let me cook for a minute. First, can I ask you a question? In every one of these clips, I'm on the ledge, and my opponent is safe and sound on stage. But instead of standing back, or shielding, or doing literally anything else, they're all just throwing out attacks right in front of the ledge. Why? What are they hoping will happen? And that's not a rhetorical question. There's one answer. It's Gale Stab. In all of these clips, this isn't the first time we've been here. No, it's the 4th, 5th, 6th time in a row that they've tried and failed to stop me from barreling off the ledge with Gale Stab. They've tried backing up, spamming aerials, trying to react to it, shielding, jumping, parrying, and none of it's worked. Which leaves the only option that most characters have, to just put a hitbox out and hope they hit us before we hit them. But since Gale Stab is too quick to react to, they have to randomly guess when or if you'll use it. And if they guess wrong, which they almost always will, they simply die. And when I say almost always will, I do mean it. Let's say you know for sure this sword fighter will Gale Stab sometime in the next 2 seconds. For a move like Lucas's dash attack, 5 active frames, that's still less than a 1 in 6. You have better odds loading 5 chambers and playing Russian roulette than you do of hitting the Gale Stab.
I'm sorry.
And with an average reaction speed, you'll be able to true punish on reaction any move that's 33 frames or longer. That's every grab in the game, every smash, every dash attack, most tilts, and most aerials. For reference, anything that's slower than this, you can true punish on reaction. Mixing up your timing off the ledge, even a tiny bit, is enough to completely throw off most characters. And it's also my best guess as to why I never see Lynx do this. They don't have an oppressive, unreactable burst option like Gale Stab to force people into this awful guessing game where the cards are so heavily stacked against them. But Ledge Drop Hero Spin does so much more than that. And to explain why, we must consult the words of the great and mighty U.D.D. Allow me to explain. See, this hitbox right here comes out frame 11. That's even faster than Gale Stab, and it's completely unreactable. So anytime they're in this area, it's a constant threat. Especially because we're sword fighters, and Hero Spin is ridiculously disjointed. Our sword will reach past most melee attacks completely uninhibited, and when it does,
it kills early.
Because it's insanely dangerous. Remember that this isn't a kamikaze or a stock trade, it's a clean kill, sometimes as early as 50 or 60%. And because it's a reversal in the most literal sense, even if they survive, now they're the ones being edgeguarded. And sword fighters edgeguarding? Well.
Sorry for another video.
See, some ledge options have one or two of these properties, but even the very best in the game rarely have all three. And by the glory of U.D., we are buffed in 5 important ways. So let's get into it. First. Wait.
Sorry.
Typo. Okay, this is the biggest deal, hands down. You can no longer whiff versus Mii Swordfighter. And when I say whiff, we can broadly group these into 2 categories. Attacks that you actively elicit by conditioning them with Gale Stab. That's what we talked about earlier. But then there's the more important category. Everything else. Every 2-frame, every edgeguard attempt, every spike, everything. Right here, we are the most dangerous character in the game. And this is particularly effective because it can be very tempting to try and 2-frame Hero Spin. After all, it's the bad recovery move. Right? Can I show you something? Remember how every character has those 2 frames when they grab the ledge, where they can still be hit? Our 2 frames start way down here. And unlike some recoveries which launch you very high before letting you snap to the ledge, Hero Spin lets you grab it very early and from very far away, meaning you spend very little time, usually only 1 frame, up where you're actually vulnerable. Hero Spin is actually very difficult to 2-frame. This opens up a whole new world for us, and though it'll take some time to start seeing these openings, once you've opened your mind to it, we have so much potential here. This isn't theory crafting. This happens all the time. This is similar to what we discussed before, but distinct enough to have its own spot. You know how a lot of characters like to do this? That don't fly versus Swordfighter. Most often you can scoop past all that on reaction, but more often than not, they'll get hit by this a single time and either give up trying and stay in shield, or back off the ledge like a spritzed cat, which we'll capitalize on later. Be aware though, unlike our previous examples, especially against non-committal jabs, really fast tilts, that sort of thing, this functions as a mix-up and a deterrent, not a true punish. You hit someone with this once, you can bet the next time around they're gonna run up, jab once, and shield. At that point, it's already served its purpose as a deterrent, and you can start to incorporate your other ledge options. For more committal ledge traps though, stuff like charging smash attacks or lingering aerials, those are just straight up whiff punishes like we covered before. You see those? Send it. For those unaware, whenever you grab the ledge while an opponent is still hanging from it, they'll be shunted off and vulnerable for a follow-up. Most characters follow this with a back air. We have this. Well, I guess we also have back air. Two quick mini tips. 1. You can hold fully away from the stage until the final hit of this hero spin, and you'll still easily make it back. And 2. Swordfighter has another move called Reversal Slash, and it's commonly used to set up Ledgetrumps like this, by running off stage and then using it to turn around and grab the ledge. But what I don't often see is that our old friend Gale Stab gets the job done just fine. But now the important point. Whenever you're hanging from the ledge in this game, there are 5 actions you can take. You can normal get up attack, drop, jump, or roll. This same hero spin hits 3 of those 5 options. And this level of coverage makes it a lot more appealing to go for Ledgetrumps, even if you're not 100% sure they'll get shunted off. A lot of the time, you'll still catch whatever option they chose. Okay, little asterisk here. Come on out, bud. Come on out, buddy. It's okay, you can. Okay, so if you're using hero spin preemptively, going for a read instead of a reaction, it is risky, and you'll definitely be eating a smash attack if you guess wrong. But if you're not at kill percents, low enough that a single smash attack won't just kill you, it is actually less risky than it seems. See, unlike other ledge options, if you whiff this hero spin and get hit, you still have your jump. So if you're at low percent, you'll take a hit, but then you're making it back just fine.
No.
However, I do want to be clear, this does not mean you should just ignore everything we talked about and start randomly spinning all over the place. So we all know this one, right? The Little Brother Destroyer. The Link classic, if you will. Just facing away from the stage and holding down to avoid grabbing the ledge lets you scoop and kill anyone standing too close to the ledge. And this is great. You absolutely should do this. Sometimes. Because it does invite a lot of extra risk. Facing away from the stage, even if you aren't holding down, means that you can't grab the ledge from nearly as far away, and you can end up neglecting Hero Spin's incredible ability to avoid 2 frames. But you can get the best of both worlds. I'm saying so many buts. But if you choose to recover normally, you can still convert to a kill if you happen to clip someone on the way up. Once you do, simply drop from the ledge and spam jump. This footstool is a true combo. The key here is that you don't actually need to time the initial drop. Once you've grabbed the ledge, you can hold down or back and you'll automatically let go once this animation is complete. If you try this just a couple times, you'll very quickly get a feel for when you should start spamming jump. And the best part is it's really not too risky to go for. If you do miss the timing, you'll either ledge jump or just double jump on stage and be totally fine. And that, I believe, brings us to the close of Hero Spin. So, between Gale Stab and Hero Spin, it is terrifying to be anywhere near this character by the ledge. So you usually only get 1 or 2 of these a game before people back off entirely. And I don't blame them. It makes sense. If they're way out here, they don't really have to play this game. And they're totally safe. Totally safe. Totally safe.
Since beginningless time, darkness thrives in the void, but always yields to purifying light.
Tales tell of a gunslinger way out west. No one knows where from.
And I seen him draw just once, but if you see him, boy, you run. See, those who've seen him draw and lived are few, but I'll tell you son, maybe he's just too quick, but the way that he flicked his wrist, I never saw no gun. We've been dropping a lot of breadcrumbs, and I think it's about time for a payoff. After all, it's just one little flick of the wrist. How bad can it be?
Shuriken of Light
is the second option for Swordfighter's neutral B, and while a deep dive will have to wait for another day, let's quickly cover the basics. When you throw a Shuriken of Light, it'll start off weak and get progressively stronger the further it travels, leveling up, in a sense, at these 3 points. And before we talk about its strengths, you need to know its one limitation.
Let me say this one time, you make me feel.
This initial stretch here, we'll call it level 0, has no knockback. It's not technically useless, but it practically is. So you'll want to make sure you avoid hitting people point blank, just enough for it to level up. And wouldn't it be convenient if we had some way of persuading people not to You get it. This is where it fits in. Now, that being said, this blind spot is actually much less of an issue than it seems. See, shurikens are strong when you're on the ground, but there is a place where they're even stronger. See, you keep moving forward when you throw a Shuriken of Light, so if you just jump forward, by the time it reaches its target, so do you, eliminating that issue of distance. And you should always be using it like this, in neutral. But you know where else you can jump from? Ledgehop Shuriken is the third and final pillar of our ledge game. After they've been battered by Gale Stabs and face-checked by hero spins, when they've learned their lesson and backed up all the way across the stage, they're still not safe. And Shuriken of Light keeps the pressure up in 3 important ways. Let's cover this one first, because it's my favorite. Shuriken of Light is one of the most broken combo starters in all of Smash Ultimate, and it combos into literally, and I'm not exaggerating, any move you want. At almost any percent, Shuriken into a power thrust or an aerial Gale Stab will always be solid, but you can get so much more than that. This will play out similar to our Gale Stab section from earlier, but here, there's nothing pseudo about this. Once this Shuriken lands, they're going for a ride. Because Shuriken combos into down tilts, and it combos into grab, which means it combos into everything. But that's all ground that we've covered before. It's time for some new shit. And before we get to the true kill confirms, around 40 to 80%, you'll have 2 options. The first, we covered before. Remember that this is the percent range where Gale Stab will knock people directly onto platforms. The second option is less flashy, but extremely powerful. Just throw them off stage. I'm serious. Swordfighter's edgeguarding is more insane than we could possibly cover today. Trust me, it's worth it. And if you're running hero spin, there's a much fancier way to do this. Grab, down throw. Reverse hero spin. Around 70, depending how close and how heavy they are, it'll straight up kill. And speaking of things that kill, let's finally talk kill confirms. Around 90%. They'll die to the Swordfighter classic. Grab, down throw, up air. The only way to avoid this is by holding away. But if they hold away, and about 10% higher, both forward smash and up smash will start killing regardless of DI. Which one you'll go for will depend mostly on spacing, but at this same percent range, we also unlock what may be my single favorite combo in all of Smash Ultimate. For some reason, at these higher percents, Shuriken has so much hit stun that you can run, jump, and do a landing fair. And it's all true. You land a Shuriken at any percent, but I hate to be the one to say it, a lot of characters have some version of drop, jump, attack, and plenty of them would lead to admittedly less devastating combos, but still, why is Shuriken any different? Well, there's one important thing we haven't mentioned. What happens when a Shuriken hits your shield?
Give you the love that you want.
Can I tell you the truth?
Can you tell me the truth? 'Cause I'm longing for
When a Shuriken of Light hits your shield, it can be anywhere from -13 at a level 1 to +5 at a level 3. Technically, it goes even higher, but +5 is about... Hi, buddy.
Hi, yes? You have something you'd like to add? Oh, no, that's not... No, don't eat.
But +5 is about the sweet spot where you'll still land close enough to follow up with crazy shield pressure. Now, for anyone unfamiliar, this number is your advantage on shield. When that number is very low in the negatives, that means that your opponent can act far before you, and whatever you hit them with was not safe. If it's very close to 0, you'll both act at around the same time, and they usually can't punish you for whatever you just hit them with. If that number is positive, that means you can act while they're still locked in their shield. Not only safe, but in advantage.
Can you tell me the truth? 'Cause I'm longing for you, girl. I never know what's on your mind. There's no reason to choose, 'cause I'm falling for you, girl. Only gets better, and I'm pulling down on. Can you tell me the truth? 'Cause I'm longing for you, girl. I never know what's on your mind. There's no reason to choose, 'cause I'm...
So not only does this Shuriken royally mess up their day when it hits them, even if they shield it, most of the time you're either safe or, inexplicably, in advantage. So, we covered what happens when a Shuriken hits you, and when a Shuriken hits your shield. What happens when a Shuriken hits something else?
I don't care if they say that I'm a bad girl.
See, there's a funny thing that happens in this game when two projectiles collide. But rather than a lengthy explanation, why don't I just show you how, when we're between a rock and a hard place, we can just say... sorry, did I say projectiles? We can dream a little bigger than that.
You know what you want, you say what you want.
You could call this technique a number of things. For today, I'm going to refer to it as the Shuriken parry. When two attacks in Smash collide, they clank and cancel each other out. We'll get into the details in a sec, but the important point is that since Shuriken is so quick to recover, when you and your opponent draw, you will almost always be actionable first. Now, we should quickly understand what's happening here. There are exceptions that we'll cover, but in general, when two attacks collide, if the damage each one deals is within 10.8% of the other, they'll clank. And Shuriken does a respectable amount of damage, meaning it can clank with the vast majority of attacks in the game. And when I say attacks, I don't just mean projectiles. And importantly, when a melee attack clanks, you get stuck in this clank animation. But since here, it's their melee attack versus our Shuriken, they're the only ones that get stuck in that animation. And one final note. Remember how we said that a level 0 Shuriken is almost always useless? Well, a little bit of a glow up, because it may not have knockback, but it clanks just the same as everything else. Meaning that as soon as this Shuriken leaves your hand, it's providing that blanket of safety immediately, from point blank. When you go for a Shuriken parry though, you should be aware of a couple exceptions. The first, we covered before, moves that just deal too much damage. But there are also a couple moves in this game that are called transcendent, that don't clank with anything. Usually these are energy based, like lasers and stuff like that, but not all of them. And the final consideration is just to remember that in order for this to clank, it needs to hit an active hitbox. So if they're right up in your grill, and your Shuriken hits them before the hitbox comes out, usually it'll just fizzle out because it's a level 0 Shuriken. In practice, it means that you should treat this more as an insurance policy versus melee attacks, and save the more intentional parries for projectiles.
And yeah, that's it.
We covered a lot today. From Gale Stab to Hero Spin, visiting old friends, and making a couple new. Thank you for going on this journey with me. I genuinely hope that you enjoyed the ride. But before we say goodbye, it'd be nice if we could put it all together one last time. So, let's take it from the top. These three options create something far greater than the sum of its parts. And every single time they approach that ledge, it's rock, paper, or scissors, and you gotta make a decision. Do you walk in range for excision or adopt a safer position? And I'm not to claim we're different, because a lot of characters' missions is hopping up trying to hit you, but see now the major difference is twofold. Many of them are just kind of too slow, and yeah, we're quicker, but the bigger picture was in the rules, though.
Is it before the...
Oh, yeah, see, right here, what is the true goal? Think about it, is it more? Putting big numbers on the screen, that shit is fool's gold, fool. No, you know who gonna win and take the pool home? Since the only thing that matters is to ring the bell tolls, but we only need to hit you once, we just kill. First time around, you drop, jump, swoop them when they catch you on the gun. Wanna scoot the scoop, showing up. That's when you catch them with the scoop, and when they're back up, it's time to shoot. Say it with me now, y'all. When they catch on, you know they get a scoop, the scoop, showing up. That's when you catch them with the scoop, and when they're back up, it's time to shoot. So the first time is fine, twice is towing the line, but right they're about to die and they're still trying hard to find a way to fight it. Keep in mind though that we kind of invite it, and the moment they try to, we can kind of just light them up. And they'll whine and moan when we put the blade to them like a grindstone. My own time, we're about a decade behind. Yeah. So it's not to be carrying, because the body's not very terry into the carrying of every character in between us and the time. We're never gonna stop. This is the part where I'll say, if you'd like to support me directly, I've gone ahead and set up a couple of the standard avenues. Or, to spice things up a little, I'd like to humbly introduce the Just Spin Fanny Pack. A clean, minimalist exterior, but tucked inside, a sword fighter's secret weapon. Over 150 different combos, positioned subtly but strategically for easy viewing. Perfect for those sneaky mid-set refreshers. Links in the description. And one more thing, let me be absolutely clear. If and when the next Smash game drops, we'll just have to break that one too. After all, we're coming up on, 7 years? It's just very unlikely that there's anything that big left to.
What the